Alright, welcome everybody. This is Shoveler12 back at you with another Funcraft survival episode. Today we are going to get started with episode 3. You can see behind me we've got a wall of some of our common resources, and what we're going to be doing today is creating a farm to produce all of those resources. We've got flint, stone, gravel, cobble. There's a couple more that we're going to be farming today. But behind me you can see I've got a little cavern kind of hollowed out. I've been doing some mapping, doing some scoping. I think this will be enough room for us, and we're gonna put in a little farm for each of those. So the first thing we're gonna get started with is something you guys have seen before. It's going to be the simple little cobblestone generator with an auto breaker. So I'm gonna go away and I'm going to build that real quick, and then I will kind of touch base with you on our plans once I'm done with that. Alrighty guys, so we are here at the 5 wide cobblestone generator that we're doing. We're going to be pulling all of the outputs, all of this cobblestone that we're generating out from the bottom into a bunch of different farms. The first one I will actually just hook up, first couple I'm going to hook up kind of live on camera here. I want to start with just our basic cobblestone generator because cobblestone is one of the things we want to make out of this. And one quick note I wanted to make is this block, it doesn't actually have a UI, so if you right click on it, nothing's going to happen. But what this is, if I open up the F3 screen, you can see that this is a block from the storage drawers mod, and it's called the storage drawer controller. And essentially what it does is if it's connected to a block of storage drawers like this one is, it will see all of these drawers within a 12 block radius as part of one system. So all you have to do is run an item duct into this singular block, and it will automatically file items anywhere it needs to go within this block. So it's really quite useful. So this is essentially the output block for our entire farm. So just a quick note about that. So anyway, we can real quick just hook this up, and because the auto breaker is kind of a simple block, we are going to be needing some servos, which is something you guys have seen before. So I'm not going to get too into detail on that, and just set that to ignored. So we should see these are starting to get pulled out. And awesome. Okay, yeah, so eight got out there, and that'll end up in here. And I will say, if one of these gets overflowed, it will go into another empty one. So I'll probably end up kind of putting some overflow protection on the system, but that's something for maybe a future episode. Anyway, so the next thing to do is we want to get our double crusher and our basic crusher, and the basic crushing factory. And essentially what these are going to be doing is this is going to be producing gravel, and this is going to be producing sand. So what we can do is we can pull from this guy, that's going to come there, and that's going to come there, and then we are going to need to use our configurator to disconnect these, because I don't really want the outputs from these farms mingling. It's not a huge deal, it's honestly just kind of a preference thing, but I don't want that to happen, so we'll get that. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully replace some of these blocks that are holding the lava in place, so that I can get some power to these guys. So do that, and then that, and let that go away, and there we go. Okay, so then we just grab our wrench, we'll connect these guys up, and let me just kind of a sanity check. I think I've got some, yeah, here we go, here's a relay. Awesome. So we should be able to see, yep, that's producing our sand, that's producing that. And then what we can do is, I actually realized I made a bit of a mistake here, is we do want to connect the outputs to these things. So I think what's going to make the most sense here is to connect to that, and I think that will work okay. Alrighty guys, so in the last clip we finished up the sand farm here and the gravel farm. So next we'll be moving on to actually a lava generator, which is something you guys have seen before, so we'll be using one of these cobblestone outputs for that. And I've kind of prepped the area here, so we'll go ahead and get that started. And the reason we're doing a lava farm is we're going to be working on we're going to have a couple different farms in here that actually require smelting. So I want to have a glass farm, and I also want to have a smooth stone farm. So both of those are going to require some amount of smelting, which we are going to use the same system as our super smelter outside for. So I'm going to get this lava generator set up, and I will be back when I'm finished. Alrighty guys, so we're back, and here we have our little lava generator. This is something you've seen before, nothing new. I did manage to get this a little bit more compact than previously, so I'm kind of happy about that. One note is I do have these collectors on the front side. If we put them on the back side here, we could get things a little more compact. The reason I've got them here is we're going to be producing the gunpowder out of this combustion heater and the blaze powder out of this one, and I actually want to siphon off approximately half of what we produce of those raw ingredients before we convert them with this guy into the blaze powder blocks and the lava. So that's why I've done that. You can also kind of see I've got a pipe going out there. That's doing one of two things. It's providing lava to those guys, and the other thing it's doing is I've actually wrapped around the side, and this farm is kind of designed to be self-sufficient, so you don't need anything in or out. However, I am pulling some of the lava out just to go over to my smeltery so that we don't run out of lava here. That's really just a quality of life thing, 100% not necessary, but if you're following along, you have a smeltery, go for it. So the next thing I'm going to be setting up is, one, I need to actually kind of kickstart this, so you need to prime this with some lava, so I'll get those things going. And then I'm going to set up the first of our, we're going to do 2 or 3 furnace arrays, so I'll get that set up. Welcome back, guys. So you can see that we've got our little lava generator up and running, so that is trucking. It does look like I need to switch this guy to pull. There we go. Alright, so now we're actually getting, yeah, you can see that's getting pulled down, and then I'll start to produce a little more, so that's going to backfill into that. And then if we go over and look all the way over here, there'll be remnants of lava, and this guy will be full. So that's nice. That'll be taken care of for us. The next thing we've done is we've taken this last cobblestone generator. I've got a signalum servo there set to random, and that's running into this guy. So this is just producing cobblestone, getting smelted into smooth stone. We are pulling anything but the lava buckets out of the bottom of these guys. We're whitelisted buckets here, and then all the way over here we're blacklisting the buckets just to make sure that we don't accidentally start storing our buckets in our storage system here. So that's producing our smooth stone. We're going to essentially create another, like a wraparound of this, so another 5 furnaces right here that are going to be taking half of our sand out of this guy and smelting that into glass. So I'm going to break away and take care of that, and I will be back when that is done. So now we've got this kind of second wraparound furnace array here, so you can see this is smelting some sand. I have swapped this servo here out for a signalum servo that is set to random. So we're actually going to be pulling some of the sand out into that array and some of the sand out into here. So if we give this a second, you can see this isn't all from just what I've been doing recording. I was running this a little bit earlier, but we'll see some sand slowly streaming into here. So that should be good. The last thing that we're doing is I actually want all of this farm to kind of be self-sufficient. So you can see I've started laying out some coal generators, and we're going to be using essentially the same way that I do the power for my entire base by running lava buckets into this guy. So we're going to need a little bit more iron, a few more buckets. I'm going to need to do a little more wiring up with some energy laser relays, but after that, I should be able to disconnect this relay from the rest of my power grid and have this essentially power itself, which will be pretty sweet because that means you could plop down this entire little farm basically anywhere. And then after that, I think I'll need to do a little more wiring just to be pulling out some of our flint and gunpowder and blaze powder, just to make sure we're splitting that up evenly. But other than that, this farm should be done. So I'm going to make those few modifications and come back and we'll take a look at the finished product. So with that, we are actually done. I had to make a couple modifications to this. We've added in some signalum servos set to random so that we're getting items cycling through properly. I noticed that I did some testing and there were some deadlock situations where the farm would back up, but that should all be resolved now. I've finished up this second array, and it does look like so there are a few issues. I might need to get a little creative with some of the filters here just to make sure that we're not passing in the incorrect items into the smelter, but that's something I can fix offline. I don't need to take your time for that. One thing I did also have to do is we had to go up to 8 of these coal generators, and you can see we're just barely holding steady. That's because some of these blocks are still filling up with energy again. So I believe 8 will be enough. We might need to go up to 9, but I don't think so. But what that does mean is that this farm is actually powering itself, so it's creating all of the lava that it needs to power these guys, and all of the energy is getting distributed from there. And you can see that we've got all of these things filling out. I need a few more drawers, but again, I'll add that offline. So I appreciate you tuning in for this project. In just a second, we're going to get spun up on our next project, so I will join you over on the other side of the base. Alrighty guys, so here we are on the other side of the base over by the tree farm that we put together a few episodes ago. And unfortunately this farm is not working as expected, so I want to review kind of what isn't behaving and then what my plans are, and we'll actually get to improving the farm this episode. I don't know if we'll be able to finish it because it is going to be an extensive project, but we'll at least be able to get things kicked off. So to discuss, first off, you'll notice that there's nothing being grown, so that's the first sign that something's up. There's no saplings in the auto placers that are supposed to have them. We've got plenty of plant matter, but no saplings. So if we look and see what happened to those, we have one sapling just chilling there. That's fine because we would expect that. What we wouldn't expect is we've got 12 saplings trapped down in these chests, which means that our system to release them from these chests isn't working properly. I believe that that's related to these servos not working correctly. So I think one thing we might be able to do to fix this maybe in the future would be have this line always on and replace these guys with some hoppers. I think that might work. In the end of my explanation, I'll kind of go into why we're not going to do that at all. We're actually going to be getting rid of this entire system. But I did want to say that I think this is a viable system, but it definitely needs some tweaks before it's kind of fully automation ready. So the other problem with the farm is, as you guys know, we spaced, I believe it was 12 blocks in between each of these auto placers, so you would have enough room for large oak trees to grow. And first thing I noticed was that we very rarely got two large oak trees next to one another, meaning we didn't actually use that 12 wide space. So we were essentially wasting space where we could have grown more trees. And the other thing was, even if we had grown those trees right next to one another and we would have lost some efficiency on the saplings, we were getting an insane amount of saplings, as in this chest was almost completely full of saplings. It took this guy approximately maybe 20 to 30 real-time minutes to actually run through all of the saplings. So there were huge amounts of dead time in between harvests. So what I realized is, one, we're going to need to use signalum servos that can process things a stack at a time. And the other thing was that we could afford to get all of these trees a lot closer, and I mean a lot closer. So what I'm looking at doing is we are actually going to grow the trees side by side. So I'm going to swap it out so that the placers facing this direction here are going to be placing the trees or the saplings, and then we're going to have placers on this side that are placing the plant matter, and we're going to do them right next to one another. And I cleared out a little bit more room in this area so that we can get 64 placers down this way, and then we can go 11 kind of rows across. So that's going to be 11 stacks of trees being planted in one cycle. So it's going to be an insane amount of wood. It's going to be an insane amount of saplings. Cannot talk. And unfortunately, it is going to be an insane amount of resources. So now that we've kind of had an intro for this thing, I will join you guys back over at the main storage area for the base, where we've started collecting all the resources for this. Alrighty guys, so in these crates here, I've started collecting all the resources that are necessary to build this farm. You can see we have an insane amount of cobblestone. Believe it or not, this is actually not quite enough. We need to fill out just these last two stacks before we'll have enough. We need to fill out all of these Rstonia. We've actually got enough of this Palace Crystal. So there's an insane amount of resources that we'll be needing for this farm. Really, what those resources are coming from are from all of the auto placers that we need, because we're going to need 64 times 11, and that's just to get all of the rows, and then we need 2 placers per row. So we need 64 times 22, so basically 22 stacks of these things, and it's 7 stacks of cobblestone. So the point is, it's an insane amount of materials. We're almost there, so I'm going to cut away, take maybe just a half an hour or so, drum up the last couple of bits of resources that we need, and then we can go, I think, get everything laid out. All right. So we are back, and I'm still in the process of collecting materials. I vastly underestimated how much stuff we would be needing, so I had to collect I had to finish out some of these things. One thing that occurred to me is the way we're going to set this up, we are going to be wanting filters for all of these, and you'll see why. It allows us to condense things a little more tightly. The other thing I realized I need a lot of item ducts. I also need, in order to build the rest of the filters, I need all of this stuff. But it did occur to me that while we're waiting on, I'm really right now, I'm just waiting on some iron to smelt up, we can go ahead and start crafting some of the things that we are ready for. So we need one of these coils per placer, so we need 22 stacks of these things. So that's quite a bit. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start loading in all of the materials into this crate, and really I'm just going to continuously swap out what's going on in this builder for other things. I might do a couple of different recipes in here. I might also make a couple more crafters just to streamline the process, but in any case, we should see. Yeah, perfect. So that thing's just filling up. And yeah, this will take a while, so we might take some time and make a few more of these guys to split things up. But this will get things going for now. So I just wanted to show you guys, kind of check in partway through, and I will check back hopefully when I've got all of the materials set up. Alrighty, welcome back everybody. So here we are after several more hours of grinding than I thought. We have all of the resources that we need to reconstruct this tree farm. I've cleared out all of the old stuff, kind of patched in some of the holes. We are going to need to go through and fill in some dirt here and there, but that can happen a little bit later. So I kind of wanted to give you guys sort of a taste of how this is going to work before I go through and actually build it. So basically we're going to have these opposing rows of auto placers. So I'm going to set it up something like this all the way down, right? And all of this in the middle is going to be filled in with dirt. So we'll go in and clean up patches like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to feed one of these guys. There's exactly 64 in one row. So we're going to feed one stack on a round robin style of saplings down there, and then one stack on a round robin style of plant matter down the other side. And then what we're going to do is, you remember all those filters we were using? That is so that we can have these item ducts like this and auto placers like this. So instead of having to have two rows of of item ducts here, one for saplings and one for plant matter, we can actually do both. We're just going to need to filter these guys for plant matter and these guys for saplings, and that'll clear everything up. So I think it will be good to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to take some time. I'm going to fill in all of this, and I will meet you guys when I'm done with that. So this is more what I'm talking about. So we've got 64 times 11 trees that will be growing at any given point in time, which is going to give us a ton of saplings and a ton of wood. We're going to need to upgrade all of this next, but first I'm going to get all of the item ducts in place and all the filters and all that. But yeah, I just wanted to give you kind of a brief look at what we've got going on. To be honest, I think this farm looks pretty darn cool. I think it's going to look even cooler once we get the trees going in and then automatically being cleared out. You can see I haven't put the dirt in here everywhere, but that, like I say, that can happen just towards the end. We can get the farm up and running with the spots that there are, and then we'll just pause the builder so it's not mining anything, and then we'll be good to go. But yeah, so next time you see this, it should have all of the item ducts in place and all the filters, and we'll be ready to do our sapling processing. Alright guys, and welcome back. This is the final version of our fully automatic tree farm. Let's go over just a couple of the details that we've got, and then you guys can see it in action. So in here we've got this auto placer completely full of saplings, we've got this guy completely full of plant matter, and right now I was going to go with a round robin style, but I've decided to go with a nearest first setting on this guy. So what we've got is this guy's completely full, this guy's a little less full, this guy's a little less full. Eventually all of the auto placers will fill up, and so towards the sort of back end of the farm we will start getting the saplings placing. The reason I've done it this way is it ended up just taking too long to get all of the saplings placed out here in a round robin style, so I think it'll be more efficient this way. It does mean that there's a bit of a ramp up for the farm to kind of fill out, but in the meantime we'll still be getting plenty of resources. Quick overview of some of the changes that we made from the previous version. You can see we have a similar system to before where we've got these kind of 12 or 11 to 12 channels, but I have made a few changes. The first is that we're using servos to actually handle all the items. So you can see as we get these coming in, we're getting a ton of saplings, a ton of wood and apples, but the saplings aren't allowed to leave. That's because of this servo. Basically the idea is we want to wait until the chest is completely full and we're completely done doing all of our harvesting. Then we allow the 12 channels to get all of their saplings, and then once this chest is empty, that deactivates this T flip-flop, which allows the items to actually flow out of the chests. We do it that way so that if we want to fool around with having each one of these channels be isolated from one another, we can have an equal amount of items per channel. At the moment, we're just collecting them all into this buffer chest, so that might be a future expansion if I think I need it. But let's real quick look at the rates for this thing. You can see that we are getting an insane amount of wood. I've got 8,000 wood coming in. I was actually getting so much I had to put this void upgrade in there, so it's destroying the excess items. In a future episode, we are going to be smelting all of this into charcoal, and I will show you guys why. But for now, that really rounds out today's episode. I mean, there might be a few tweaks that I'll do on this farm offline, but I think for now, we are in good shape. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you liked, please leave a like. Feel free to leave a comment on how I can improve my videos. And if you really liked it, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified when I upload a new video. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.